What's up, everybody? Thomas Brandon here, and as you just saw in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the new track, Cedar Lake. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Alright guys, so as always, thank you very much for joining me here, and really quick, if you want to actually join me when I'm doing this stuff live, I live stream every Wednesday and Thursday on Twitch, link down in the description below. Actually this Wednesday I won't be live streaming because we just finished up our Wednesday night league and we got the holidays coming up, so it'll be a little sketchy, but I will be getting back to it here really very soon after the holidays. Now, anyways, like I said, we're taking a look at Cedar Lake. Now, I'm going to be looking at Cedar Lake in the 360 sprints, the dirt midgets, super late models, and big block modified. So those are the cars I'll be taking a look at Cedar Lake in. For those of you who want street stocks or legends or all of the other versions of the cars, basically, I picked these ones because they are fairly popular. Um, they're what I like to drive, and it'll give you a good idea, right? I mean, 360 sprint, 410 sprint. For example, when we look at the setup here on the 360 sprint, just know on the 410, you're gonna need a 486 gear, right? And make some tweaks to the suspension, stuff like that. It's just little stuff like that. So overall, not big differences. Okay. Now, first things first. iRacing brought out this what I can only call an incredible dirt track. It's awesome. And they didn't give us lights, which kind of sucks. They're on the track. You can see them. They just don't turn on. So that kind of sucks. I was very disappointed when that happened. Now, I know eventually, and then to top it all off, I thought we were going to be getting them in the patch that they did right after the release, and we didn't. I don't. Apparently, there was more issues with other things. So we will be getting lights at some point. I imagine they did not put them on the track and all around the track just to look at. I imagine they will be functional at some point. Just don't know when. So that is kind of a downer. On the other hand, everything else, they did a really good job with. Now, the pits, I've never been to Cedar Lake, Wisconsin. I don't know if it really is like driving on potato chips. That's what it sounds like. It's really weird. But other than that, everything about the track is awesome. It really is. It's a 3/8 mile. It's a wide, what I think will be multi-groove racetrack. I have not ran a race on it yet. I've just done testing and stuff like that. I will be doing some racing on it here, obviously, uh, in the future. But so I have not been able to experience a dynamic track on it. I am imagining it's going to be a multi-groove track. I would hope. Um, I'm thinking, looking at it though, when it gets super slick, imagining you're gonna have to be right on the wall or right on the bottom. Will the middle come in? Well, it usually does here in iRacing. The middle comes in at some point. I just don't know when that'll happen with um, out having driven it during a race yet. So I do know it, like I said, it is a very wide sweeping, high banked, fun track. I love tracks like this. The big half miles are fun, um, but to me, I really like these mid-sized tracks. I think those are the best. The 3/8, 4/10 of a mile tracks, right? Cedar Lake, um, Charlotte, Lernerville, I really like those tracks. They're a lot of fun. I like the bullring tracks too. I like the quarter mile tracks. I really like high banked quarter miles. That's why I've always said I wanted to see something like I-55 or you know, I think Gas City's the other one was at I-69. I mean, there's so many I racetracks, but um, out here west we have Silver Dollar. I would love to see Silver Dollar because it's a high banked fast quarter mile and it doesn't have a wall, so it would help me just by staying on the track watching everybody else fly off. But anyways, I digress. Now, as for the setup here, we just went 12.5 inches of stagger. I just got 10 1/4 bars on the right, thousands on the left. Nothing super special here. 5/4 shocks up front, straight 5 3/9 with a 1750 on the right rear, 1375 on the left rear. I went with a 570 gear. That feels pretty good at the start. Uh, I got that gear from Lernerville. 570 is the gear that I usually start with at Lernerville, which for some reason it's really weird why we would use that gear there, but it works. And so, here it works. That's all I will say. So, that's what we've got here for the setup. It's pretty much a base setup. I haven't had a lot of time to really dial in a setup on Cedar Lake, so that will be coming obviously later on, particularly in the Insider program. Which, if you want to check out, you can hop over to the School of Sim Racing Discord server and check out a bunch of stuff we got for free. So, anyways, but let's turn a few laps. So, one thing that I've noticed about this track, and like I said, I've never seen this track in real life, I don't know anything about it, is the walls do come up on you pretty quick. So you can see how they kind of move out there, can get really wide, but then they also pinch down. So you're going to want to actually, it kind of reminds me of Lanier, where if you're running the top, you're going to want to almost like rotate more so you can really get that run down the banking and come out straight. I over-rotated there, but, so that's what it kind of reminds me of. I do think the track will open itself up to a decent slider line as well. But like I said, it's hard to tell that and know for sure until I actually do some racing on it. I have not raced on it yet. But you can see the 570 gear seems to be pretty good. And this line right here through the middle that I'm just kind of running right now is where I think most people are going to be running probably heat race. This is about a 15% track right now. Qualifying, if you get right down on the bottom, you can really shave some time off, but you got to really get down on the bottom and make sure that you don't do what I just did there, which is slide out and waste time. You want to make sure that you really get down on the bottom and that you're coming out nice and straight, not scrubbing off speed. So anyways, that's the 360s. Let's head over now. We're going to take a look at the dirt midgets next. All right, guys. So now it's time for the midgets. Now, here with the setup, I'll just show you real quick. I threw on the Cedar Lake iRacing setup and then modified the crap out of it. So, went to 10 and 8 on the rear pressures. I left the front pressures at 10. That actually felt pretty good. And then 4 inches of stagger. Keep in mind, stagger is going to be one of those things at this track. In all the cars, that's really going to be based on driving style. I mean, you're going to have your kind of your base starting points, but it's going to really adjust on what feels comfortable to you. I just went 190, 180 up front with the springs right now. We're on a 10% track again. All right, I mean, this isn't any crazy slick track stuff or anything like that. 6.336 on the front shocks. I just went 800 bars across the rear with a straight 4.38 on the rear, 18 inches of wheel spacing on the right, 850 on the left. 594 gear. The gear is something I'm going to definitely need to be testing with more in terms of the midget. That felt okay for right now. And then 5 gallons of fuel. But anyways, with this thing, it reminds me kind of like it's similar to Lernerville, and what I mean by that is that when the track is fresh, yeah, you can really rip through this thing. But I think as the track slicks off, these midgets are going to be a lot more fun. They're going to be a lot more racy because getting right down on the bottom and keeping it down there. And you can see my front end is really bouncy. But I think, getting down to the bottom and keeping it down, there's going to really take a level of throttle control. And I think you're going to be rewarded for that as the track slicks off. I mean, right now you can just go wide open right here through the middle. But that's only going to last for so long. Even if you want to go down to the bottom wide open, you're going to have to really hit your spot and make sure that you get it set correctly so you're not sliding out. If you over-rotate it like that, right, you can really bog it down. But if you don't go in hard enough, there you go. You're going to end up on the tires like I just did. So I think running the bottom here is going to actually be really interesting and fun. I think this is going to be probably my new favorite track. I really like this track so far. It's kind of a combination of everything I love about dirt tracks all rolled into one. You know, I like wide corners, I like high banks, I like, you know, tracks that have a distinct, you know, potential two grooves. Like I said, it's going to be, we got to see how the track wears in, but so really, it's going to be really fun. We actually, for our midget league, which will conclude this Thursday, we were scheduled to run Eldora, and we actually changed it. We're going to be wrapping up that at Cedar Lake, so it'll be really fun to see how that race turns out on Thursday, because that'll probably be the first race I run at Cedar Lake in any car. So be really interesting to see. But anyways, that's the midgets. Let's head over now. Let's take a look at the late models. All right, so now it's time for the late models. Now, like I said, we're going to be doing the super late model, and I just threw together a really quick setup here. Nothing crazy special. Like I said, I have not had time to really dial in a bunch of stuff on this track, but for the most part, I'm finding that those of you who have SSR setups, if you use a linear setup and then make a gear change off of that, for basically all the cars, you've got a pretty decent starting point. So just kind of keep that in mind. But went 14 and 12 on the rear pressures, 5 inches of stagger, 525, 175 on the springs up front. Those are our shocks. Springs in the rear, 200, 175. That's kind of my go-to starting point. So this is what I've got. Like I said, got a lot more to dial in, but you know, we'll get to that when we can. But anyway, so in terms of the late models on this track, I'm gonna say I actually really liked it. You know, just a few laps that I turned. I think this is going to be actually a pretty fun track on the late models. Late models are, you know, the tracks, when it comes to the late models, the little tracks can be kind of hard sometimes because these cars are so big. And the really nice thing with this is you've got kind of the characteristics of a smaller track, but you've got these really wide corners. So I think it could be pretty fun. Now, coming out of the corner, obviously, where the wall pinches off, that might be a little bit of a bottleneck for the cars in a race, but we'll obviously see how it goes. But anyways, running pretty much like you see right now through the middle. The line in this car, the fastest lap that I turned, I believe, was right on the bottom. Really got out of the gas and just kind of worked the throttle. You know, rolled out and rolled back in type of thing. Definitely got more room down there. I can get my nose down there further. Right there, I just hit the tires. These tires, far more forgiving than obviously something like Charlotte, because those are tractor tires. But I mean, even more forgiving than Lima Land, right? You see how I just ran them over like that? Lima Land, and I know you guys sent me comments all the time. I know I say it wrong. I try my best to remember to say Lima Land, and now I'm so confused as to which is correct. I honestly don't even remember what it is. I think it's Lima Land. I'll try to get that better. But anyways, so at Lima Land, the tires seem to upset the car a little bit more. It's not a huge difference, but it is a little bit of a difference. So that's one thing that I've noticed. And they did a good job with making them different. As you'll see, they're not uniform. They really did a good job of some tires being higher than others. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when you get into a race and obviously trying to get down low and you hit them. But anyways, that's the super lates. We got one more car we're going to do. I was going to do the UMPs, but I've decided not to because I'm going to actually do a video because the UMPs, I believe, start week 1 here. And so I'm going to actually do a video breaking down the UMPs next week. But anyways, let's head over. Let's take a look now at the big block modifieds. All right, so now it's time for the big block modifieds. Now, really quick, tomorrow morning, depending on when you're watching this, but tomorrow morning, uh, December 13th, 2020, at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. I know it's really early on a Sunday for you West Coasters. Trust me, I'm on the West Coast, but I'm going to be doing a live setup workshop on these cars. Okay. I Fair warning, I have not gotten everything figured out about these, but I've actually got some stuff dialed in on them that makes them feel pretty good. So I'm going to be sharing that stuff tomorrow. So if you guys want to join me for that, make sure you come to the YouTube page here, all right, and join me. Like I said, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. But anyway, so big block modifieds here at Cedar Lake. Just like all the other cars, this car is a lot of fun at this track. Those of you who saw my big block review, I really, really enjoyed this car. I think it's going to be one of my favorite cars here in the sim. I really like all the dirt cars, to be honest with you, with the exception of street stocks and legends, because I don't drive those damn things. But all the other cars, I really like them. And so the big blocks have been a lot of fun. I really like the concepts of them and the setup ideas, the setup stuff that you can do with them because they're unlike other cars. So it's really, really cool the way iRacing has done it. Now, anyways, in terms of running the cars at this track, now I've got a Cedar Lake setup here, which happened to be from the video I did on it, which was a very base setup. You know, 250, 150. Similar to a late model setup, not exactly. The left front spring is obviously way softer than what I typically run in a late model. Now, one thing to note, and I didn't cover this in the 20 gallons of fuel. No wonder the car felt so bad. Um, One thing I didn't realize uh, was apparently in real life, big block modifieds run torsion bars on the rear. I don't know if that's true or not. And here we've got springs. So I don't know if I don't know if that's a thing. I didn't cover that in the review of the big block modified, so I don't know if that's a thing. If iRacing kind of did the springs to keep it similar to the other cars, like the late models and the UMP models. So I don't know if that's why they did that. I don't know if there's a version of the big block modifieds that do run springs. I don't know, but just something to keep in mind. But anyway, so that's the setup I got here. Like I said, whoops, and I failed tech. What did I? Oh, that's right. I guess I should actually fix that. And then I need to take that down. There we go. Okay, so the setup doesn't really matter right now. We're not trying to be fast. We'll work on setups tomorrow in the workshop. So anyways, let's take a look at the big block mods here at Cedar Lake. Like the other cars we've ran, I think it's going to be a fun track for these things. The line seems to be... my awareness in these cars has got to get better. I keep hitting the wall. The line in these things really seems to be, when you're at this track state, 10-15% around the bottom, middle, that's kind of the point. It is a car that it does feel like on this track you're going to be rewarded for your throttle control. So going out and just ripping it I don't think it's going to lay down a really, screaming fast lap for you. It could, at least it hasn't for me though. One thing I've noticed with and I was just going to talk about that. One thing I've noticed with the entries here is when you go into 3 and 4, especially on the bottom, you got to really be careful of washing out. That wall comes up really quick. See how it came up so quick like that? Where in 1 and 2 you can really sweep out. So when you're running, all the cars, right? You just be careful of that especially if you're running the bottom. So all in all, fun track. I really like it. I think it's going to be fun in all of the cars, no matter what you're driving. Big block mods, wing sprints, midgets, you name it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So definitely happy with what iRacing gave us in terms of the new track. Got to be honest, I'm not the biggest Weed Sport fan when Weed Sport came out. I know that that's a huge thing for big block mods, but I wasn't that impressed with it when it first came out. It has grown on me. I like it more. It's probably, middle of the pack in terms of my favorites. But Cedar Lake, I really like. I really like this track. I think they did an awesome job with it, and I'm looking forward to racing on it, as I'm sure most of you are. So, anyways, that's gonna do it. Now, really quick before we go, do me a favor, if you like this, please hit that like button. Also, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, especially if you want to join me tomorrow for the live setup workshop on these big block modifieds. So make sure you got that little bell, tick there, so you get the little ding notification. I don't know if it actually dings, but you get the notification so you don't miss that workshop. All right, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to cover a bunch of different stuff. I'm going to show you guys how you can actually dial these things in for what will be comfortable for you. And I'm going to actually bust out my Motec workbook so you can see the differences that the changes make. All right, it's going to be really fun. Also, if you want to join me for my live streams, like I said, I live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv Tommy_Brandon, link down in the description below for that. And then finally, if you want to be a part of what is, in my opinion, the best online sim racing community for dirt, check out the School of Sim Racing. We've got the private Facebook group, but really the Discord server is where everything is happening. That's where I post all the exclusive content. That's where the insider stuff is available if you want to join. But that's where also all the free setups are, everything. And there's over 1,000 people in there. They all help each other. It's just an awesome community. So if you want to check out any of that stuff, links for all of that down in the description below. But that'll do it. As always, I want to thank you for joining me, and until next time, I want to wish you good luck, good racing. Take care.